journalist who spends a lot of time, obviously, on social media to report on stories and publish my stories. I've personally experienced a lot of harassment because of my views as a feminist. So that sort of led me to want to explore this more broadly and talk about the way women in various fields, doing various things with their life and their time on the internet, still wind up being harassed. I also wanted to talk a little bit about how social media outlets like Facebook, Twitter rarely actually try to do anything to stop this. So it's really interesting the type of things that Facebook or Twitter will find against their terms of service, which just allows the harassment and abuse to continue. So this is an overview. I actually did this first piece a couple years ago in my News Narrative and Design 1 class. It's sort of an overview about the different kinds of harassment women might experience. I talked to a lawyer named Marianne Franks. She's also an associate law professor at the University of Miami School of Law, and she's personally been the victim of online harassment. So she gave me some great quotes about how she doesn't think online harassment is different from offline harassment. It's still basically just sort of an invasion of your space and your privacy. I talk a little bit about how there have been many cases of young girls mostly committing suicide because of online harassment. So yeah, that was sort of my first piece. I talk about revenge porn stuff too, which is when women have their photos, their nude photos published online without their knowledge or consent. So the second piece is real stories of how internet usage can lead to online harassment. So there are various reasons women might use the internet. They might have communities online that they go to for support, or have friendships that they've made online. They might run a business that primarily deals with the internet. So I was sort of inspired to write this piece because I saw this tweet by Tyler, the Creator, the rapper. And he was like, oh, like, how the fuck is cyberbullying real? Like, just turn off the computer, just walk away. But that's not really always an option. Like I said, if you run a business on the computer or something like that, it's not really that easy to just sort of turn it off and walk away. So the first person I interviewed for this was a woman named Lucretia DeGreco. She is 30 years old. She's from Wisconsin. She founded the organization Guerrilla Feminism. And because of her nonprofit work as a feminist with this organization she founded, she gets a lot of negative feedback and had both misogynistic, like men's right activist type trolls come after her, as well as other types of feminists who don't agree with her stances on certain things. Another woman is named Daisy Tackett, and she was a victim of doxing. Doxing is when someone will publish your personal information, such as your address, phone number, social security number, things like that, for malicious purposes. So her information, she got doxed on 4chan, and had like random people calling her, things like that, and she was really afraid. I interviewed the author of this ebook called Targeted and Trolled. Her name's Rosalind Warren. She's a journalist for BuzzFeed London. And she even mentioned how even if you're not, a woman on Twitter talking about feminism or something like that, even if you're just a regular girl and you post a selfie on Instagram because you feel cute, like you might still get like gross comments or people you don't know. So this is like very widespread. The next person I spoke to is Susie Lee. She's a Korean American woman who founded the dating app Siren, and as she works in the tech industry, she's had sort of firsthand experience on knowing how few women there are in the field. According to the United States Department of Labor, women occupy less than half of all jobs in computer and information technology, and for jobs specific to web and software development, the number is even lower. So because there aren't that many women or people of color working at these social media companies, it's sort of less likely that any of these abusive comments get taken seriously or removed. I talk about that sort of concept a little bit more, where I spoke to someone and they had reported a racist photo of someone in blackface, and here's the message they got saying that it didn't violate their terms of service, Facebook's terms of service, so it wasn't removed. So that's just sort of an example of how, these corporations who, statistically are run and most of the jobs held by white men don't take things like this seriously. The next piece is a profile of a transgender woman named Ashley. I thought she is a really interesting case because she has had experience online both as a man and a woman. So she has sort of firsthand experience on how reactions to her have changed based on how she was presenting at the time. So this is her before she transitioned, and she was like very sort of libertarian type of guy, would post on a lot of political forums, would never have her sort of point of view negated or questioned. And then when she came out and started, presenting as a female and posting more articles about, being transgender and feminism, she noticed like people would start questioning her and not taking her as seriously. But something I found really interesting about Ashley is she will go into groups of hostile people. Like, for example, there's this anti-social justice warrior group on Facebook filled with like racist, misogynistic, homo, and transphobic people, and she will go into that group and try to talk to them and try to get them to change their views. So that's like something that I found was really brave of her as a transgender woman to sort of subject herself to harassment just, for her activism. This is a picture of her now. So the next piece is specifically about online harassment within the realms of online dating, because that's a big place that online harassment might occur. So I talk about this Facebook group called Being Mean to Boys on the Internet, and it's pretty much just a group where people get together and sort of post their cringy screenshots from online dating apps, and I've included some of them here. So here are some examples. It's a lot of people just saying really sexually explicit things right off the bat. Why can't I scroll like that? Okay. Like this, for example. So this sort of community was started to sort of make each other, feel better about it. Also, again, regarding race and how race plays into this, here's a conversation posted by a black woman of like sort of the misogynoir that could be found in these conversations as well. Like, it's not just straight misogyny, it can be like misogyny tinged with racism as well. So this guy's essentially talking about like raping her. So I talk again about Susie Lee, the woman who founded the app Siren, and how she looked to make something different than Tinder or OkCupid, where it's so looks-based. And so her app is different, whereas instead of showing up as a photo, you'll show up in someone's feed answering a question of the day. And there's even the option to like blur your picture for people you haven't connected with yet. So it's a space that a lot of women, genderqueer people might feel more comfortable in. So Being Mean to Boys on the Internet got deleted. So that's super interesting considering Facebook didn't remove the picture of the guy in blackface, but they removed this group. So again, it's sort of questioning like, what does Facebook find offensive? Because they removed a sort of forum to be able to discuss this, but they're not doing anything to protect people against the actual issue at hand. Here's the screenshot of what the founder got after the group was removed. But in spite of that, a new group called Being Even Meaner to Boys on the Internet was formed. And it's sort of the same, just now it's a secret group, so we don't have like butthurt guys sort of reporting it. Yeah, oh my god, this is my favorite of these gross messages ever. So he says to her, "I'm guessing you're a Bernie Sanders type of gal. So am I. Of course I'm not a girl, but I'm definitely on the left side of the spectrum." She goes, "Feel the burn." He goes, "You and I should hang out. We could talk about women's rights." She goes, "Haha, I'll pass." He goes, "Well, fuck you then, bitch." So, just sort of examples there of the type of things that will happen. The next and final piece is a personal essay I wrote about my experiences with online harassment. And I just sort of want to give like a trigger warning because I'm going to be showing some screenshots that have like really offensive, horrible language in them. So, like I said before, I'm a journalist, I'm a feminist, I talk about this stuff a lot on the internet, I'm active on social media and different Facebook groups, things like that. And that anti-social justice warrior group I mentioned before of 5,000 people sort of targeted me for my beliefs and harassed me for 4 days straight, and then after the 4 days, it was sort of on and off for a few months. So it all started because they started trolling the group that I help admin, and then they started messaging me personally. And one of them was, his profile was public, he was a substitute teacher of a grade school, And he messaged me with that Tyler the Creator tweet saying that cyberbullying isn't real. So what I decided to do was Google the school he worked at and email them and send them this screenshot of how their employee, like I mentioned before, kids kill themselves because of this, doesn't think cyberbullying is real. And apparently he got fired. And when word of that got back to this group, the harassment got a lot worse. And here are some of the messages. Me being a bigot, whiny, spoiled, overprivileged hater, ignorant, sexist bigot, and a woman with emotional problems. This guy's like hitting on me, but then saying I'm a shitty person, and then hitting on me again. It says, it's a shame that a pretty female such as yourself has to be such an ugly person on the inside. I mean, come on, people disagree with you, and your response is to lie and try to get them fired. I hope one day you'll see just what a horrible person you are, but you're still pretty. You still have that going for you. So these were Facebook messages, but I also got this stuff in email. This guy calling me cunt, signed someone with a penis. On my journalist Facebook page, this guy calling me a fucking loser, piece of trash, herpes infected bitch, posted that comment on like all of my articles, and I had to delete that comment about 50 times. So that was really fun. This guy says that he has 2 lawyers in his family and they're gonna try to sue me. More emails, more horrible things, whatever. So that sucked. But then what got really worse was that they tried to dox me. And this is a screenshot of the post on 8chan, which is similar to 4chan, of them trying to get personal information about me. And they did actually end up emailing the school and my mom, because they found out through stalking me on social media that these people related to me, what school I went to, and yeah. So that's sort of my story with this. I'm not gonna let them silence me is essentially my outcome of this. You know, just sort of the response, the vitriol that they're spewing is just sort of proof that, you know, feminist journalism is